Enter the world of forensic science, the science of crime, where a suspect's guilt or innocence can hang on a single piece of evidence.
Science, but it's not as foolproof as you might think.
We have a story tonight about crime and unusually modern science.
Today, forensic detectives are employing an arsenal of techniques to uncover and convict them. Who is winning the war?
Have you ever been in a situation where you feared for your life? A suspicious car at the end of the street, or the monster in your closet creeping back from your childhood? Terrified of their power to easily destroy or save your life? A thought that is really not pleasant to have. But what if I were to tell you that you should be equally as scared of the people in charge of absolutely everything, the government? Hello, my name is Melody Sidani, and I will be dissecting the world of forensic science.
Forensic science.
Forensic science.
The Washington Post calls it visual forensics. Why forensics? What does that term mean to you?
I quickly went down a rabbit hole, trying to figure out what the main dilemma was within the system. As I had mentioned before, a lot of the same procedures from the early 1900s are still being used today. Fingerprint and DNA analysis have been around for many decades, but are still held close by scientists today. I naturally assumed that forensic science was not acquiring as much government money as it needed, causing them to stay in one place and not allowing them to progress as we might wish. I calculated in the year of 2023, there are over 3 million deaths in the United States. Over 3 million deaths can definitely raise the prices for forensic testing. As I began to do further research, I discovered that forensic science ultimately gets a lot of government funding. So what was the problem? I took it upon myself to figure it out. I called a forensic science lab in Van Nuys, California, and I talked to a scientist on the phone. At first, he was a bit skeptical of me and my intentions, but then he eased up and was answering my questions with a lot of thought and consideration. This scientist gave me a new perspective on what might be the problem in forensic science. He was telling me that money wasn't really the issue. It was more standards that were lacking. He believed that there were no standards within the forensic system.
I think so. I think to better the industry, my personal opinion from running this lab, it's having a standardized set of rules and a standardized set of education. And it's really it's an issue, I think, in a lack of standards. It's still a bit like the Wild West, and anyone can call themselves a forensic scientist.
Let's get it over here.
Precision.
6 foot.
Attention to detail.
3 feet 4 inches.
And clear communication.
5.5 inches. Okay.
Skills needed to excel as a forensic scientist.
Con men, the most enigmatic of the criminal fraternity. These expert liars and consummate manipulators use their intoxicating charm to prey upon the most prized human trait, trust, in order to make money and ravage lives. Join us as we explore the lives and minds of some of the world's most notorious con men and women, exposing their shocking crimes, their twisted psychology, and how their cruel lies led to their eventual downfall.
In the matter of seconds, this guy completely turned around my entire project. But it's alright. I was now intrigued by what he was saying and how we can truly improve forensic sciences. Well, based on his opinion. He began to tell me more about how just anybody can become a forensic scientist. There are not that many standards in the community and not that many things required to be a government-funded forensic scientist.
And I find an issue that there is a lack of requirements and standardization for those who are practitioners. And so pretty much anyone can put out a shingle and call themselves a digital forensic expert or multimedia forensic expert. There are some certifications in the industry, and there are competing organizations. For example, in our industry, there's one called LIVA, Law Enforcement Video Association.
Now, that was just a short minute of our almost 30-minute phone call. He gave me a lot of good insight within the community, although he couldn't tell me that much. He was still a little bit skeptical, which is all right. He told me that anybody can just become a forensic scientist, that it's really not that difficult. He said that we need to have more standards, and that was just his personal opinion. But as I got to do more research, I began to think he was right. As I began to think more about our phone call, I began to wonder what he meant by standards. I had asked him if he meant that we needed more education within our system, and he said it's not a matter of education, it's just a matter of standards. And I believe that he intended that we should have more necessary requirements to become a forensic scientist. There are many different fields within forensic science, but each field has its own category of intense work that each have to do. I think that with such level of work should be more requirements to be able to be called a forensic scientist.
Who are looking for forensic experts, and they just bring in the experts they need. So they may bring in doctors, if it's medical, use of force, accident reconstruction, computer forensics, and they may bring in a digital forensic expert, and within the digital forensics, a multimedia expert. So there's a lot of areas in here. The American Academy of Forensic Sciences is as close as you can get to a governmental agency that's overseeing. They're not actually a government agency, but they're about as close to it as you can get.
But gave me an insight on how we should really trust people with power who we have earned it. And now, as I think about it more, we're really putting our lives and our responsibility and everything we've ever known, we are putting all of our lives into their hands, and they have easy access to everyone and everything. How can we better the situation? We should have more requirements, and just like he said, more standards. More requirements and more necessary classes or more intense level of skills in these fields. Forensic science is not something to be played with, and neither is your life. So next time you're considering trusting a forensic scientist or anybody in the crime field, you might want to think again.